And we're back with another episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from the Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, Game Source, and the Lakers Fast Break. We truly appreciate everyone out there that's all of our great shows. And if you can, please give us that 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. Plus, if you could like, share, subscribe. Subscribe today to get the latest notifications on when we go live with the latest Lakers Fast Break podcasts or Pop Culture Cosmos or PCC Multiverse or State of Pro Wrestling or Inside Sports Fantasy Football or anything that we do here as far as the Pop Culture Cosmos Lakers Fast Break Continuum. And if you could go ahead and support all that, plus on our Facebook page, please follow and like. On our Facebook page, please follow and like because you'll get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air with shows, but also the latest news and pop culture right there for you on Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook. And to get an overarching view of what we do, go ahead and check out us each and every week at popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. But it wouldn't be a Pop Culture Cosmos without my good friend, and he is the guy. I'll tell you what, he's the guy indeed. Just the guy that's been such a great part of this show for so many years, my fellow host in crimes. You got to go ahead and check out what he's doing today at the happyhoardercollectibles.com, happyhoardercollectibles.com, where you can get a discount with the discount code happyholidays23. Get 10% off your full order today. It is Josh Peterson. What's up, Matt?
What's up, man? How you doing? We missed out last week, so just missed talking pop culture things. And the Game Awards was pretty exciting. I know we're gonna get into that.
Yes.
Also, like, there's been some unexpected things going on here in the box office. Like, I would never have assumed that a Godzilla film would do as well as -1 has been doing.
Well, that was until this weekend, my friend.
But still, though, like a Japanese Godzilla film doing this well in the States is pretty outstanding.
Yeah, that's true because it's not the true. Yeah, it's not a domestic release per se. It is, like you said, a true Japanese release. But there was an even bigger surprise at the box office this weekend with the winner also a Japanese release, but a very historic one, perhaps. And we'll talk about that on the show as well. But you're right. I want to ask you about so. Okay, before I go into my stuff in regards to what I've been catching up with, also what you and I hopefully will go ahead and think about what we're going to see or target as far as movies for the rest of this year before we get into our best of. Okay, I want to hear your thoughts on the Godzilla because it's very confusing if you're a general individual out there, general consumer. You see this Godzilla plus one, but you also see the Godzilla that came out on Apple as far as that series. And isn't there another Godzilla on the way? Try to just you know clear the confusion on what's going on as with all the Godzilla stuff that's being produced right now.
All right, so here's how I know it to be. Godzilla -1 is the first like Japanese Godzilla film to come out. I want to say it's like 10 plus years if I
Okay.
have my information correct there. Um, Monarchy Legacy of Monsters is an Apple TV Plus show, and I'm actually I'm a couple episodes into that one right now. Haven't finished it, but that one actually takes place right after the Gareth Edwards film.
Okay.
So and I don't know how much of the time span it's or how much time it spans, but that is part of the American version of Godzilla, which kicked off with Gareth Edwards' film back in
It
what was
has
it,
John Goodman
2010.
in that one. Is that correct? As
John
a doing
Goodman
a
has
guest.
he's only been in one episode so far, and it's just
Yeah,
a
it's just
quick
a cameo per se for
yeah,
him.
just a quick ode to the Kong Skull Island.
This is mainly
Um,
Kurt Russell, his son, and other actors dealing with the aftermath of what went on.
Yes, yeah, and really cool too because Kurt Russell's son plays Kurt Russell when he was younger, so that's a um, neat little ode there. And then there is Kong versus Godzilla,
The New Empire.
the New Empire. No, it's not Kong versus Godzilla. It's Kong X Godzilla, the New Empire. I think.
Yes. Yeah, Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire. I got it right here in front of
Yeah,
me.
it's like when like Nike does a crossover with something. It's like Nike X or Vans X or whatever. Um, but there is something that stands out. That's I want to get your thoughts on that trailer in a minute. But something that stands out with the Godzilla minus one, like I think, and I could absolutely be wrong about this, so feel free to call me out. But this is the first time a Japanese Godzilla film has been done using CGI. Like this is the usually they have a Godzilla is a man in a like a suit, but this is the first time that I've seen a CGI Godzilla in a Japanese film. Because I think the last one that I saw, and I don't know if there's one that came out before that, but it was Godzilla 2000, and that
Mhm.
one still had somebody in a suit.
Okay. That's the case. Then yeah, absolutely. That's amazing that the movie is it's garnered about 25 million domestically. It obviously it's done very well overseas. So definitely some good numbers for that. And like you said, it's all bonus. It's all extra stuff when it comes to
Yeah.
what Godzilla can do here in the States. And so far, it's earned about $50 million worldwide. I do want to mention that when it comes to Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire, that is coming out in late April, April 24th or it's April of 2024, April 12th to be exact on that one. And then there was also an anime series that debuted this year on Apple TV called Skull Island, basically from the Skull Island
Um,
movies.
yeah, because there was also another anime series on Netflix. I forget what it's called, but that was I don't know if that was if that was a any sort of tie-in or whatever to the mainline
It doesn't appear to be the case because I
or
don't see it
just
listing
standalone.
in the same lines as Godzilla X Kong. The Skull Island and Monarch Legacy of Monsters is, I believe, relating to the Godzilla X Kong. If I'm not, it's showing that at least it is. So
Okay. Well, let me ask you this last question before we move on here. Actually, it's a two-parter. What first one? What did you think of the trailer for Kong X Godzilla or Godzilla X Kong, whatever it's called?
I saw it. Of course, they got to get you with the new Baby Yoda with the
Right,
baby
right.
Kong. It's got to go ahead and just like they went to the George Lucas School of Merchandising. So you got to go ahead and produce something cute out there. So everybody goes, "Oh, it's so cute! It's so cute! A
All right.
70-foot baby gorilla gonna beat you up, yeah, and eat you, yeah, that's awesome." But it looks all right. Again, I'm not a huge Godzilla Kong fan. I guess I'd say if one, I'd side with Godzilla a little bit more because I actually, when I was a kid, I used to watch some of those old Japanese Godzilla films on my local LA station back when I was a kid. So I'd probably say I'd lean towards Godzilla. Kong has never really just got me, amped up. Even when I saw the 1970s Kong movie and then the later Kong reincarnations, just, even Peter Jackson's Kong, reincarnation, that's not really moved me in any ways, but I know they are appreciated and they're loved. And I'm seeing this though. Is there a glut though when you produce so much foreign or domestic, in this case, Kong Godzilla stuff within a short amount of time? Don't you think it's cannibalizing itself with the fans out there?
Yeah, I think it has a tendency to. Yeah, I keep looking at it. This is Warner Brothers and Legendary, so obviously not related to Universal at all. But
But then you got
I
the
keep
Apple
thinking,
TV stuff as well on top of it.
right, right, and that is connected, like that is canon. But I keep thinking about it. And I wonder, is the Monster Verse or the Monarch Verse or whatever it's going to be called? Do you think that is basically going to become the new Fast and the Furious?
If it doesn't make enough money, no. We have to see how the one in April is the key. That's obviously of all these Godzilla slash Kongs or Godzilla X Kong movies, that is the key. If that's coming out at April 24th and the April 13th of 2024, that is coming at a time where there is no big May Marvel release.
Right.
So by the time that first week of May hits, a lot of people may still want to go see that. If that is the case and it's still a hit by that time, then obviously that's going to continue a long line of Godzilla X Kong movies where separate or together, I think that's
Yeah.
going to be the case. Whether or not it does hit, that's going to be remain to be seen. But one of the reasons why it may not hit is because there's been so much given to the public. Again, foreign or domestic Godzilla slash Kong stuff that's been thrown at them in recent times. I think that if there is a slowdown or the fact that the movie doesn't hit with all audiences out there, that could be a reason why. But if there's a thirst or a hunger for it, we'll definitely see the case come April.
Yeah, yeah. Well, because I look at it like Fast and the Furious, right? Like Fast X, I just started the other day. I got 15 minutes into, it and I told myself I was like,
That was 2 hours of
it,
pain, man.
yeah, is too. I'm like, this is too much, and
Nobody
I
dies in Fast X.
sat
Nobody
there.
dies
Yeah,
in Fast and Furious.
I
Spoilers, nobody actually dies in the Fast and Furious movies, unfortunately.
yeah, yeah, for real. And I sat there thinking, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna save this for a night when I'm incredibly bored.
Yes.
And even still, that might be too much. But the Fast and the Furious it's 10 movies of stories that didn't necessarily need to happen, and that's kind of what these Godzilla movies feel like. But I look at it in the way that it will probably succeed because we had Godzilla versus King Kong released during COVID, and it still garnered enough viewers to justify making more stuff.
And it did. So we'll see what happens, my friend, when Godzilla X Kong, the new empire, you got to be like a really hardcore nut to keep all these straight as far as the variations between Godzilla, between King Kong, and then their combinations together as far as all the movies that take place. It's just absolutely, you have to be on top of it as a fan. And that's a lot of work, Josh. And sometimes I get afraid when, like we're seeing with Marvel, that if it requires homework to actually
All
watch
right.
and enjoy, that's going to be a problem for most
Yeah,
people.
no, I know, man, and I keep yeah, the same thing with like there's Aquaman coming out, and whatever's next with Marvel. I know when Daredevil drops or Echo or whatever, like I'm gonna have to go back and watch the stuff that I've missed. Like I'm gonna have to go back and
Well,
watch
Echo, they
Hawkeye.
advertise on Marvel that you don't have to watch anything else.
But
It's a Marvel
I
Spotlight series, and they tell you not that you don't have to.
right, right, but I have story OCD, and you know this, right?
Yeah,
So
I
like I'm
know.
gonna have to go in and find out like, oh, why does Kingpin
I'm
have
ju-
an
I'm
eye
just
patch?
letting
I'm
you
gonna
know
have to
that is
go.
their exact pitch, and there's actually their trailers that they told you. Say you do not have to watch anything else in the MCU to enjoy Echo. That's all I was told. I'm just
Yeah.
paraphrasing.
Yeah, and I'm sure that they did a good job keeping it separate, but it's the character connections that get me.
Yes.
Like I have to know. Even like back when I read comic books, I looked at something that's like 10 issues in. I'm like, oh crap, I gotta find the other issues 1 through 9 because I want to see how this happens. So, anyways, that's a lot of backtracking that I feel like I have to do with that and Aquaman, right? Because I still have not finished. I got like halfway through Shazam 2, never finished it. I did watch Blue Beetle, so I'm good. Actually, I guess I just have to watch Shazam 2 to kind of finish off my
Yeah,
foray
but
in
it
the
doesn't
cinema
matter.
universe.
You're watching a universe that's going to be dead in a matter of months because James Gunn has a completely entire DC universe in vision. And for instance, even Jason Momoa, even if Aquaman 2 scores $1 billion again at the box office, it doesn't matter because he's already moving on to Lobo, and Jason and James Gunn is looking for new people to fill out those roles with the Justice League.
Yeah, I'm curious if that stuff that happened in the end of Flash is going to like stand because remember it had I don't know if you watched it, but it had Ezra Miller and Jason Momoa basically saying like in every world you and I look exactly the same. So I wonder if that's just going to be scratched or if they're going to somehow incorporate them into this new world. I don't know. It still remains to be seen, I guess, but um, yeah, I don't know. I hopefully Aquaman 2 will put a nice ribbon on the Snyderverse, but who knows?
They got to go ahead and make sure Constantine is a hit. That's the one I think you and I
Mm,
both want to make sure Constantine 2
absolutely.
and the return of Keanu Reeves. And then if it is, James Gunn has to incorporate that into the DC universe going
We need
forward.
a Justice League Dark.
Absolutely, indeed. But what are your thoughts out there on the Kong slash Godzilla or Godzilla X Kong universe? Whether it's the movies are made like the most recent Godzilla Plus One movie in Japan, or the ones here made here domestically, like the Monarch series that's now on Apple Plus, Skull Island that's now on Apple Plus, plus also as well the Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire coming up in April of next year. Please share us your thoughts if you're excited for all the stuff, catching up with it, or you have something else in mind with your time instead of Godzilla X Kong. Please let us know your thoughts. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Well, my friend, when it comes to what you're looking forward to this holiday season, because we're at the end of the year coming up here pretty soon, going to be doing the best of and all that, but it's awards movie time, and the award movies are actually starting to come out here in recent weeks. You've seen Killers of the Flower Moon, which has gotten a lot of critical raves. You've seen Napoleon. You've seen other movies that have come out that are vying for that title. Poor Things is coming out, which has been very highly reviewed and highly thought of and highly praised before it has even come out. The Iron Claw, which actually recreates the story of the Von Erichs, a famous wrestling family from Texas. That is supposed to be garnering some great praise. That comes out here in a matter of days as well. So, your thoughts, my friend, along with Aquaman, Wonka, there's still several movies that have yet to come out officially or in wide release for audiences out there here domestically. Your thoughts on what you want to catch this winter, my friend?
Honestly, probably the only movie I'll probably be going to see if I do get out to go see a movie is Aquaman 2. I There are a bunch of movies I still want to catch up on from this year, and I will probably be hopefully be spending some time, watching those, trying to catch up. I did finally catch My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3. I see why it didn't do so well, but also like I'm a fan of that franchise, so I enjoyed it a little bit.
All right. Well, I know again, I was told by my good friend, Mr. John Orlando from the State of Pro Wrestling and the PVD cast, I have to try and make my way through to see the Iron Claw with Zach Efron because of my days watching the actual real life Von Erichs back in the 80s. So I have to definitely give that a shot. I also want to make sure I catch Killers of the Flower Moon, obviously Napoleon. I want to catch most of these highly regarded films before they go ahead and hit the end of the year, as many as I can try and catch. If any of them come to streaming service, I'm going to be jumping all over it. But yeah, it's been a year where it's been a lot of financial disappointments, but I'm hoping that this year will end up strong. I don't have faith though, my friend, in that, because the fact is when the movie like The Boy and the Heron from just absolutely revered Japanese visionary as far as anime is concerned, Miyazaki himself, Miyazaki-san, absolutely fantastic film. It's been rated very highly. And I'll tell you what, a lot of people have been drawing to it. It does, and it will lead the box office, which is a huge get. But the thing is, it's only got $12 million to the box office, which is huge for an anime film, my friend. But for the general audience at large, when a movie like that is the number one box office domestically, it's $86 million worldwide, so it's already made a ton of money. But in Miyazaki's what he said is his last anime film. It's great that it gets number one, but doesn't speak well for the rest of the box office.
Okay, to be fair, Miyazaki's been saying that for a long time, and
He
he
said on
just
his last one in 2013, I think.
keeps
True,
yeah, he
correct?
just keeps coming back. But yeah, I mean, people love him, and I'm a big fan of his films too. I don't got, I'm not as big of a fan as a lot of people out there. But I do think he's a brilliant filmmaker, and he creates things that span across, or that reach different generations of people. So I think that's great. we need more filmmakers like him. And there are a few out there that they've come out with things that have been relatively successful in the box office. Weathering with You and was it Your Name or whatever that other one was called. So
Hmm.
there are some things out there, but yeah, I don't know. I think that I'm glad to see that it's doing the numbers that it's doing, and I'm sure that'll be one that slowly increases until we see it reach streaming services.
All right, we'll see what happens though. It is garnering a lot of attention. It is closing in on $100 million worldwide. It is The Boy and the Heron, Miyazaki's supposed last anime film ever. He's such a great artistry. He has such a great history of films and filmmaking. Hopefully, you get a chance to see it, or if it comes to streaming platforms, definitely want to go ahead and make your way out for it. It is The Boy and the Heron. It is now the number one movie at the box office with over $12 million this weekend domestically, and now approaching $100 million worldwide. But before we head to the break, my friend, when it comes to what I'm seeing and what I would like to see still, Netflix giveth and taketh away. So they giveth us a good movie, hopefully coming up in Rebel Moon. Speaking of DC and the Zack Snyder verse being kicked to the wayside, he's creating his own universe coming up later this month in Rebel Moon. I know you and I will be talking about more later this month, and I'm excited to see what's going to go on with that because it's still being thought of highly as regards to like special effects and things of that nature. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing part one of Rebel Moon, or actually part one of this universe that he's telling called Rebel Moon later this month. What are your thoughts on Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon before we head to the break, my friend?
I'm actually pretty excited about it because we've talked about this before. Like, there's a lack of science fiction movies in Hollywood, or
Absolutely.
ones that are
Mass Effect! Mass Effect,
right,
anyone?
right, or at least movies that are done with like the backing of a big studio. Like, we don't get a lot of those. Like, Dune was the first thing that we've had to get our beaks wet in a long time. I mean, there's Star Wars, but that's a whole other thing. But yeah,
You
no,
don't even remember
I'm
seeing The Last Skywalker
yeah, seriously.
in our
We
famous ad that
we don't
I
talk
still
about
run
that
to this
one.
day.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't. I'm excited. Yes, to answer your question, I am excited about it. The world looks cool, and I'm a big fan of Charlie Hunman. As we talked about with King Arthur. But actually, he's great in other things too. Let's be honest. But
He has
I
a
like.
more subdued Han Solo like role. He's not the
He,
lead in this, so that's
no,
kind of
he's not the.
intriguing.
Yeah, yeah, he's not the lead, but like I think that he could play a very good supporting character, and this it'll be interesting to see this world unfold because especially like it has a female protagonist, so it's like it has like those Rey Skywalker vibes going on to it. So we'll see if um hopefully they will make a story that outshines Rey Skywalker.
And Dimon Hansu, one of my favorite actors, is also in this as well. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what he can do in this film. Like you said, with Charlie Hunman, I have a great affinity for the acting of Dimon Hansu. He's been really tremendous in so many different roles over the years. So definitely looking forward to see what him and Charlie Hunman. Anthony Hopkins is the robot in the film. So he still has the voice for the robot, which is interesting. And there's so many more familiar faces in this, and absolutely want to see what Sofia Botella does in the role as Cora in Rebel Moon Part One, A Child of Fire. So definitely looking forward to it later this month here in a matter of less than 2 weeks. Looking forward to it. But before we head to the break, I want to make sure you know as well. I got a chance also as well. Speaking of Netflix movies, just came out this month. Leave the World Behind. So, okay, I watched this film, my friend,
Yeah,
and
I
when
was
it
curious
comes
about
to it,
that movie.
so You Leave the World Behind is currently the number one movie on Netflix right now. And how do I say this nicely? I think when it comes to this movie, the director went to the school of M. Night Shyamalan, but it
Mm.
is M. Night Shyamalan light, and I mean very light compared to the tinges of horror that M. Night Shyamalan, puts out there. It does have an excellent cast in Julia Roberts, Mahershala Ali, Ethan Hawke, and Kevin Bacon for starters. And the thing is, though, that gets me is you have all this great talent. I really wish you would have given them something more to do. It still reminds me a lot of the movies from 2, 3, 4 years ago with Netflix, where they looked like they were filming it on a weekend in like 2 or 3 places, and that's it. I have a feeling that's all they did was filmed it in 2 or 3 places, and that was pretty much it. It does not look like it cost a whole lot of money, but if it's getting this kind of return, does it really matter, my friend?
No, I mean it did, and I think that that's a lot of things on Netflix. So like they don't cost that much money to make, and they garner enough intrigue to make a return and then some. Also, the what was sorry, what's the movie called again?
It is Leave the World Behind.
Leave the World Behind. So that's actually the first movie put out by Obama's film production company.
Yes.
And so a lot of people have been like, what do you call it, like anxiously anticipating like what that's going to look like. So I don't know. I mean, if it's good, that's great. So
It's all right. It's like I said, it's very he went to the class of M. Night Shyamalan and probably gets a C for it. Would be my estimation. Um, so I'd probably say it's something that, yeah, it's light fare. It's all right, but it never wants to go outside of just explicit language. It never really wants to go into depths where it could have gone, and it's there. It's not bad. It's not great, but it just with all the talent that's on there, you kind of want something more, my friend.
is it, I'm sorry, so are you saying it's family friendly or it's not family friendly?
It's not family friendly. It's a
Okay,
lot of f bombs, But
gotcha. All
basically, the theme is supposed to be a lot heavier. But you could have seen, Okay, let's do this to the movie that was earlier this year with Dave Bautista, Cabin in the Woods or Cabin in the
Mhm.
House. You know that one, that the one that
Yeah.
he was there. That one had that was M Night Shyamalan. That's had a very supernatural feel. That was willing to go places a lot more than this one does. This one tries to tinge a little bit in that direction, but it does not go, I think, as far as it gets tame by the end. It gets very tame, in what it tries to go ahead and do as far as how it goes about it. And ultimately, the message is just okay. We know what's coming up. We know as far as the things that are said in it, the themes. That's fine for what it is. But again, it doesn't. You feel with the actors and the type of material that was given, it could go a lot further than it did.
Okay, all right. So I first of all, cool bro, what's up, man? Thanks for joining us. Yeah, I think about that happening a lot these days though. Would you agree that a lot of movies start out with like this big, these big intro scenes and these big climax scenes, but very few of them know how to properly end?
Yeah, and this one you will not like the ending because it's not this, it just falls flat. The endings
Mhm.
just falls flat a little bit, and just the use of the actors. I think that's the biggest deal for me. You have all this great acting talent, Kevin Bacon, you have Mahershala Ali,
Yeah.
you have Julia Roberts, you have Ethan Hawke, all these great actors, and you just could do so much more with it. And it just seemed like they were just all there shooting for a weekend, and that was it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean
We've
that
talked about this
sounds,
before with Netflix films. The Ryan Reynolds
yeah,
films look like they were shot in a weekend. Oscar
that's what I was gonna
Isaac, I
say.
believe, is shot one. Yeah, it's just they're just there.
Yeah, that's pretty par for the course for Netflix films.
Chris
Hey,
Hemsworth looks like he just goes, shoots a couple bad guys, and there you go. Yeah, gets a nice
yeah.
paycheck out of it.
Yeah, I mean, and again though, like that's the formula they're going for, and it seems to work for people. Like people keep they made a second Extraction film, so I mean, you know, it's doing what it's supposed to do. Before we move on to talk about other things outside of film, they just announced that the next arc of Demon Slayer is coming out in February, and they're going to be doing a world tour, so you can catch it in limited theaters across the United States, before the new season premieres in February. So it's going to be a pretty packed spring for moviegoers.
I can't wait for that. My daughter, my youngest daughter, is still a Dragon Slayer fan, Demon Slayer fan. She's still very much a Demon Slayer fan, and she and I have watched the first two seasons and have seen the movie. And after just this big long break
Mhm.
in Demon Slayer, and I'm not sure if she'll get that energy back for it, but I'll let her know, and hopefully that will go ahead and because I enjoyed really watching it with her and getting into that series.
Yeah, you know what's crazy too is that you're talking about her getting that energy back. Like that, the same thing has been happening with Demon Slayer collectibles for the
Yeah.
happy, or just not just for me, but for everybody. Like everyone ordered, like there's a new wave of Demon Slayer pops that came out, and all these Demon Slayer figures by McFarlane. So people went stocking up on them, but nobody wants Demon Slayer stuff because the season's over and it's been over for so long.
Well, we'll see what happens, my friend, if people get back into Demon Slayer. Cool, bro. Demon Slayer. You might want to take a look at it. Might be up your alley, my friend. Might want to go ahead and check it out. It is Demon Slayer, so hopefully we'll see some good stuff next year in the course of Demon Slayer. So there you go. Leave the world behind. Again, cool, bro. For me, it was like, wasn't super bad, wasn't super good. It was just there. And again, for the actors, it just seemed like it was just a payday for them. They're just going through the motions and just that talent. You look at that talent. I know, cool, bro. You're a kid, you're young, but you look at that talent that's there for most of us that are at that age, and those are some of the finest actors of the '90s and 2000s. And I would have given them something more, but that's just me. Once again, it is the Pop Culture Cosmos. It is Josh Peterson and me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Truly appreciate it. My friend, it was the Game Awards this past Thursday. I think a lot of people out there were pleasantly surprised with all the reveals. Again, as I joked with Melinda, that it went from a series of in awards as far as world premieres, and then for the commercials they showed you more game trailers as the commercials, then getting you back into more game trailers, which I absolutely love. I would have liked to see more gameplay trailers, but we argue about that every single time, my friend. They all want to show you the in-game engine cutscenes, which look so beautiful. But the one game that really stood out to me, well, maybe OD, Overdose by Kojima and Jordan Peele. That's, as a demo, as a tech demo, really stood out. But the one game that stood out to me is what I talked about with Melinda Barkhouse Ross, and that is a game that you're very familiar with in a part two. Tell me your thoughts, my friend, on what you saw with the Game Awards, and we'll go ahead and elaborate once you talk about it a little bit more.
Okay, so there's a few things that stuck out to me. There's a lot that I didn't really care about, to be very honest. But a couple things that stuck out to me. One, I was really bummed that like after how many years do we still not have a release date for Hellblade 2?
That's what I was talking about. It looked fantastic,
It
but it
looks
did give
beautiful.
you it did give you a generic 2024.
I know. I know. I was expecting a release date, and that was frustrating to get through the end of that trailer and not have a date put up there. Um, of course, I'm excited about the Final Fantasy expansions and the God of War expansion. Couple games though that really did stick out to me. I love the idea of a new Mana game coming out. So we got Visions of Mana by Square, and that was a series
Yeah, absolutely. The Mana games, definitely looking forward to that. So yeah, as I lost you there for a second, but yeah, definitely looking forward to that, my friend. I know Monster Hunter is coming out with a new game as well. I think. What are your thoughts on that as far as the Monster Hunter and Mana games coming out?
Yeah, no, I'm excited about the Mana games, or and I want to see more of it. And again, like I really enjoyed that entire series, Legend of Mana, Trials of Mana, things like that. The Monster Hunter game looks cool. I've never actually gotten into that series before. Have you played any of those games?
Just for a little bit. I'm not huge into it, but as a co-op game, I think it could really strike well with audiences. The last one that came out was it January of 22. Don't hold it to me, but it came out early 22 or 23. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
that
came
was
out
on
22.
the last gen consoles. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Monster Hunter World, I think was that.
No, but it's on the Switch. Came out for the Switch. Uh
Oh, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
Monster Hunter Stories or something like
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
if I
yeah. That
remember.
that one did very well, and this is going to be the sequel to that. So yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing what they can do as a great co-op game. I'm looking forward to it as far as on the Switch, which sorely needs it, or whatever the new Switch will be at that point in time. By the time it comes
Yeah.
out, I understand your thoughts on Hellblade 2, but you got to admit, of any of the gameplay action, now the God of War DLC that they're dropping this week, that looked great. Valhalla, but the visuals, gameplay visuals, actual physical gameplay visuals were stunning with Hellblade 2.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, everything from, like, the skin tones to my color palettes, the music, the soundtrack, like, yes, it looked absolutely beautiful. And no doubt, like, I it's probably going to be an amazing game. I just hate that we've had to wait so long for it. But also, what did you think of the Rise of the Ronin trailer? Like, that one looked pretty cool too. That one had some pretty neat visuals on it also.
It did, and I'm looking forward to seeing what that can do as well. I'm looking forward to seeing what that game can be. But again, it's so early in development, so you don't know exactly when that's going to be something that's going to arise, or if will it get delayed like we see with so many of these other games. Will it get delayed? Hellblade 2 was actually supposed to be a 22 release, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
yeah, it's supposed to. They're supposed to launch shortly after the Series X came out.
Yeah, and it's been pushed back, and it says just generic 2024, so we'll see if that holds weight. But the game that I think a lot of people were talking about, we'll get back into Overdose, is the fact that Xbox Studios and is coming out with something from the Arcane and Bethesda, and that is a Marvel game, not named Wolverine, because that's being done by Insomniac. They're doing their own Marvel game. I don't know if it's an Xbox game exclusive, but they are doing their own game in Blade.
Yeah, so I saw that and I've been reading about it and I am cautiously optimistic, but it's kind of a weird property for them to be taking on because their worlds are not, not they're big, right? They're big
Yeah.
worlds and their Blade scene is a very small world, like the world that exists in those comic books. So I'm just curious how that is going to look.
Well, we'll see what happens, but yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing what they can do. If you were them, though, at Bethesda and Arcane, you don't have to make this multi-platform. You can just keep it PC and Xbox. I'm thinking because Spider-Man 2 was on just on PlayStation, and also as well, Wolverine looks like it's only going to be a PlayStation exclusive. I would try my darndest to ensure the Xbox public they get their own Marvel exclusive game as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it would also serve as a good bargaining chip, if ever they wanted to either cross over Blade with Spider-Man and Wolverine, or if they wanted to see a release of Spider-Man or Wolverine on the Xbox platforms. And so they'd be like, oh, hey, well, we'll let you, if you let us put out, if you port Spider-Man to Xbox, we'll port Blade to PlayStation.
Once again, it is the Pop Culture Cosmos with Josh Peterson. It's me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching, listening. Truly appreciate it. There were many other games that were released. And again, I love it because the fact is there are a tremendous amount of games still being developed. One thing amazes me with all these new games getting released, it still amazes me that Fortnite is still getting a great share of the attention so many years after release, so many years. So it's had its peaks and valleys in regards to its popularity at the highest of highs. And not so highest to highest, but lately they've seen a resurgence in enthusiasm in Fortnite. And upon that, they are now going to be releasing two different DLCs, a music adventure, music rhythm type game, which they will be eventually adding rock band equipment capabilities to here in the not too distant future. And second of all, a racing type game within the confines of Fortnite. Your thoughts on this? Because they are taking steps and taking notes from the GTA online format and creating a whole universe for a whole different variety of things outside of just the main Fortnite game.
Yeah, you know what's crazy is that they have actually been very smart because they've been listening to consumer feedback. Like their Fortnite had a massive drop off this year from people who had been with it for the first several seasons and saying, "Oh, this just isn't for me anymore." So then they re-released the basically what was a patch for the first season, and those players that dropped off came back, and now they're looking at things that other games are doing. Like from what I understand, this the racing add-on is supposed to be like their version of Rocket League in a way. So or Rocket League esque. So
Well, I think Rocket
that
League is working with them in conjunction on that, if I'm not mistaken.
yes. So that will definitely be something that pulls people in. And then they dropped the Lego expansion. Like that is awesome. Like
Yes.
it's a true it has it's a true add-on. Like they're not just skins, like it's an actual add-on for that world. And from what I understand, people really enjoyed that. So they've been smart. They're making the right moves. They've, like I said, they've been listening to consumers, and I think that Fortnite is not as dead as people are saying it is. It's not, not that I'm interested in playing it, but I do know a lot of people who do like it enough to sit there and stick with it, and they have nothing but great things to say.
We have found the only 14-year-old on the planet who had no idea what Fortnite is. And I got to say, cool, bro. Kudos to you for just saying, you know what, I don't have to follow the rest of the crowd out there.
Did not give in to peer pressure there, and
Yes.
good for you.
Yes, absolutely indeed. But it is Fortnite, though. You got to give it a lot of respect because they are doing things to create a community that is continuously going there, not just for the base game, but as far as being able to go ahead and provide so many different things. They've provided concerts, special events within the confines of the game engine itself and the game itself. So, yeah, it's absolutely he's a rarity. Cool, bro. He reads instead of plays video games. So there you go.
Good
But
for
it
you.
is, yeah, absolutely good for you. We have already, Josh and I, our minds are already corrupted by too many decades of video game playing. But need I digress on that? But it is Fortnite. Check it out. There are new things being added to it as far as a like Josh said, a Lego adventure, a music city rhythm game type deal as far as you'll be able to soon connect your rock band equipment. Get out your old rock band guitar and drums, get that out. Go ahead and hook it up. You'll be able to play it on Fortnite pretty soon. And then also as well a racing game on Fortnite as well. So definitely looking forward to seeing that Fortnite is still got a lot of life left, and it's just basically going to be something that's going to be around for a long time to come. Your thoughts, though, on this? The Ori and the Blind Forest developer Moon Studios revealed a new game called No Rest for the Wicked. This is something that, again, comes from a company that visuals and the game is both the Oris have really done very well with audiences, but this could really be something that takes it to a whole new level.
Yeah, I watched the trailer, and yeah, it looks cool. I don't know, Ori, there's something very special about that game. So I hope that they can recapture that magic, but a part of me wonders if when you're breaking off into a different type of game, is it going to be enough to get people to want to check it out, or are people going to be expecting something else from you? It's weird because this kind of relates. I just read an article, that is an interview with Mike Shinoda of Linkin Park, and he said he doesn't do a lot of solo stuff anymore because everyone expects his music to be like Linkin Park. So I think about the same thing with like game development. you have these people who get famous for making these games or get a lot of following for these types of games, and they go out and try to make something else, and it doesn't always pan out, or people look at it and be like, oh man, this is not what I was hoping it would be.
Well, my friend, it has come with the time. Hello Games, the team behind No Man's Sky, they have finally announced a new game after basically re-envisioning No Man's Sky from the way it was very much poorly released in that historically bad release to where it end up as one of the best communities out there for the past 5 years. They have basically gone in a different direction now with their next game called Light No Fire, my friend. So tell us your thoughts on what Hello Games can do with the sequel. Well, not a sequel per se, but its next game after No Man's Sky.
That it actually looks really great, and I would hope that they had learned their lesson from the release of No Man's Sky. As you had said, it has a historically troubled had a historically troubled release. So hopefully they will learn their lesson, or they have learned their lesson, and this game comes out looking great, and it already does look great. So it's definitely something I'm going to check out. I do want to ask you, the Sega announcements. I'm looking at that. They're talking about the return of Jet Set Radio and Shinobi and Golden Axe, Streets of Rage, Crazy Taxi, all these things that made them famous, back during the Genesis,
Minus
Saturn, and
Sonic.
minus Sonic.
Yeah.
But do you think that they're going to be sticking to the, like, with Sonic Mania, right? They stuck to that was a people really love that game. They stuck to the old 2D platformer version of Sonic. Do you think that these new versions of these games are going to be like the old ones, or do you think they're going to make the jump into modern gaming? So we're going to see like a totally playable Grand Theft Auto-esque version of Streets of Rage, and Golden Axe is going to be like a
They're
giant
not they're
RPG.
not going to be 500, $700 million productions, my friend. Sega's just not going to put the money out for it. I think I would love to see an Alpha Protocol reboot, to be honest with you, of anything in the Sega library. But be that as it may, of those five games, I think they will be reimaginings of it,
Sure.
but they're not going to go as far as you're like, oh wow, this is going to take it to like a Crazy Taxi, huge open world per se. I don't think they're putting that much in resources to that specific one, especially if they have plans for all five of those titles to produce those and probably put them out in a shorter amount of time span between each other. I have a feeling that you're going to see a huge bump up from what you saw previously, obviously, but I still think it's not going to go to the lengths of where a completely reimagining would be.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and granted, I'm not expecting like a Oblivion, Skyrim, whatever type of thing. But would it not be awesome to have a modern a reinvention of Golden Axe that like took you to a world that was a little bit bigger, and you could play that with your friends? Like, it's full on like a 3D world.
Well,
Would
I'm
that
sure it will
not
be.
be
Yeah,
awesome?
yeah. It's not just going to be a side-scrolling beat 'em up. I think it's going to expand on that a little bit more. How much more? How much Sega puts into it? I have my doubts. I just have my doubts as far
Yeah.
as going all the way. Like, let's say making it into an adventure the size of an Oblivion first, or size of a Skyrim or an Elder Scrolls. I don't think it would go that far as that level, but I think you could see something very much in the middle between that and then what it was in its previous incarnation.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I hope so. And I think about it too. Like, Sega is, they make mainly like Japanese style games. So what will these new iterations look like? Because they did take on the very like old arcadey style back when they
Mhm.
came out. So are these new ones going to have an anime style animations, or are they going to you know s- take it in a different direction?
We'll have to see, my friend, but it is definitely looking like that is going to bring us something with these new Sega games on the way. One thing though, I want to ask, as a Jurassic Park guy, did you care that the new Jurassic Park Survival game is coming soon from Saber Interactive?
Yeah, actually, I did, and much like it's par for the course for Jurassic Park games. They did not show us any gameplay for 'em. It's all just
Of course.
video, but yeah, but I mean, I will give it a shot. You know, I've always enjoyed those Jurassic Park games. I don't remember what the last one came that was. The last one I played was the one that remember at E3 they talked about the Barbasol can being out there and the player goes and finds it. Like that one was cool. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's definitely not something I'm not interested in playing.
Well, there you go. It's so funny though. One of the games that was announced is from new studios, like for instance, the former Bioware developers have decided to go ahead and create their own studio. They're working with Matthew McConaughey for Exodus, another game that's coming out here. Probably it's going to be taking a while to develop, but it was announced that some of the developers from the old Payday games, like Payday 1, 2, and 3, called 10 Chambers, they're bringing out their own game called Den of Wolves, which is going to, instead of be a contemporary heist game, it's going to be a techno thriller cooperative heist game, which is going to totally differentiate. But you know what? It's something they know to do. They know how to make heist games. So I'm interested to see what happens because Payday 3 came out to okay reviews. It still had a lot of issues, I know, upon startup, but it caters to a certain niche, caters a lot to the Rainbow Six, just basically those type of heist games, those type of close quarter first person shooter type games. And I think that if this can go down with any kind of success near the Payday universe and similar to it from their pedigree, sounds like we could get something good with Den of Wolves.
Yeah, possibly, but also, it goes back to our earlier point. Do you think people expect being like, "Oh, the Mass Effect guys are making their own thing." Do you think they're going to be expecting a space or a science fiction epic?
I don't know if it get that deep because you got to remember Payday is not that deep either. It's always what's the scenario? You scope it out, you find out exactly where the weak points are, and you try to go ahead and exploit it as far as best you can,
Yeah.
without trying to set off too many alarms because then it's just a free for all from there. Otherwise, I think this is going to pretty much follow in that same pattern, but maybe a little bit on a more futuristic sense. But we'll definitely see on that. But are there any more games that stood out to you? I know there was, still there's some cell shaded games that came out. I noticed cell shading is still a thing in 2023 and 2024, which I absolutely like. I think that there's some good stuff coming out. I'm just excited to see what that could be.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of indie looking games that were somewhat interesting. There's also a lot of things announced that this is probably going to be the only like airtime they get, and people will forget about them by the time they come out. So, and that typically happens quite a bit. Let me ask you this though: do you think that out of the game awards, there's anything that's going to be like the next big franchise that is not already?
That's so tough to say, my friend. What's on the way that could be? I mean, this has been a great year for video games.
Mhm.
It's from a critical standpoint, you could say it's one of the best ever. Still not the best ever year for me. I still think that's 2007, but that's another conversation for another day. I think that what it comes down to, as Jamie Sweet is in the Facebook, Baldur's Gate 3 dominated. I think Baldur's Gate is in that universe has now created such a large universe in and of itself, as far as it's concerned, created such good sales and also critical flavor. Alan Wake, we don't know how well number two did. That's visually a stunning game, but we're not sure if Alan Wake 2 did well financially. So we don't know if a universe can be created from that. It's very difficult to say, but I think there is more stuff on the way. Avowed could be something that could be in that realm. We'll have to wait and see because there is some good studio power behind it and Xbox help as well. So if that's the case, that could be something to look forward to. But we'll see. We'll see if Fable, the reimagining of Fable, lights a fire and can actually get started the Fable IP once again.
Yeah, I mean that would be great, but it would be nice to see like a franchise come out of nowhere, like something that is fresh. Sorry, Cooper, what is an SW action figure? I'm so sorry.
Star Wars action figures.
Oh, Star Wars. No, when I was a kid, I collected a lot. Like my mom would actually take me to the store about like 6 o'clock, and she'd like had a list of all the ones I was missing, and she sent me running it in Toys R Us to grab them. But no, I haven't collected Star Wars. Right now,
But
I'm
you
only doing I
can
do.
go to the site. I connected you right there, Happy Hoarders Collectibles right there.com to
There we
see what he's
go.
been collecting lately. Right, Josh?
Yes, yes, that is absolutely correct. But yeah, I mean, I'm mostly in the power. I do a lot of Power Rangers from the '90s and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. The Game Awards had some cool stuff, and I think that as we get into 2024, we're gonna get some more things, and I think that hopefully by Christmas next year, we'll really see Xbox have iron themselves out in a way that is going to be profitable for them and for gamers.
Before we head over to your pitch on and give everybody an update on what they need to check out at the happyhoardercollectibles.com, I need to make sure and let everybody know out there the last thing I want to do is probably the most important thing is OD, Overdose, from Hideo Kojima and of Jordan Peele collaborating on this. It's an Xbox Studios game. Did not say officially that it was going to be just a Game Pass game, which I think is ridiculous. I think you just make it a Games Pass game to get everybody excited so that they'll buy an Xbox. Like let's say an Xbox Series X that's still $150 off its MSRP. But I digress. When it comes to it, they should look towards that. But the tech demo for it and the collaboration is going to be very interesting. Death Stranding may have not hit on all the right notes for people, even though that was this big, huge undertaking. It was supposed to shape the gaming world forever, and it didn't actually end up doing it. OD, as far as a tech demo, looked pretty good. Your thoughts on OD before we head on out?
Yeah, look, I mean, but most of Hideo Kojima's games look good in tech demos. Like you
Mhm.
you see Death Stranding looked amazing in the tech demo,
Where's
and
the
I
flying whales?
yeah, right, right. The game looked pretty good too in real life, but yeah, it's just I don't know. His stuff's weird, So I don't really know what. Not to say I'm not going to check it out because I did enjoy my time with Death Stranding, but
You were a
um
Kojima fan in the beginning when I met you.
yeah, yeah, and I love his work with Silent Hill, but his games are it's hard to tell exactly like how you're going to feel about them until you play them. Like I could have watched a million videos of Death Stranding and still not have known what that experience was going to be like until I played the game. Like I couldn't get excited because I still by the time even right before it came out, I still didn't know what it was.
It's funny though that Jordan Peele came out to the PT door. If you got a chance to take a look at that, when he was originally introduced, he came through the PT door, the door that was familiarized to the world in the very much beloved but very exclusive game PT. If you remember that, as far as it's concerned. So
Hey, for a quick second, can we talk about the knock that Chris Judd had on Call of Duty? Did you hear
yeah,
that?
go ahead, my
When he's
friend.
saying, yeah, he said originally I had a longer speech, but I decided to keep it short, like this year's Call of Duty campaign.
Oh, that is, yeah, you're right. That is something very much a slight on Call. Yeah, this year's Call of Duty is absolutely disappointing as far as critically from that standpoint, and definitely, as far as from both a multiplayer and a single player aspect, has not generated as much enthusiasm, but it'll still sell like hotcakes. So I don't feel too bad for Xbox Studios in regards to that. So we'll see how they develop it from there, my friend. But overall, were you pleased with the number of announcements that were made this year at the Game Awards?
Yeah, yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I don't normally expect like huge things from the Game Awards announcements, but it was pleasantly surprising. Like I loved never in a million years would I've expected a true like Final Fantasy DLC for Final Fantasy 16. So that was cool. Wasn't expecting anything to be added on to God of War, so that was also cool. And then, of course, we saw the new Final Fantasy Rebirth trailers. But yeah, there's a fair, I mean, and even outside my usual franchises, like there's a fair amount of things that I'm looking forward to.
So before we head on out, my friend, please give everyone an update on what you're looking at and what you're getting for customers out there and what you're providing them this holiday season at happyhoardercollectibles.com.
Honestly, man, tastes are all over the place this season. There's people asking me for, Dolly Parton Funko Pops, and Jujutsu Kaisen has been really big for us, so we've been selling a lot of Funko Pops of that. So we've been selling. We Naruto has kind of slowed down a little bit. Dragon Ball has always been consistent. We've got some Gundam models on our website, and those have been selling pretty well for us. And as usual, the DC multiverse and Marvel figures, like those are like Star Wars figures because there are people looking for certain ones, but we are fully stocked on the Ant-Man Quantumania figures, and we have some Spider-Man. We have some DC sketch editions for the McFarlane universe, and those ones are cool because he they 3D printed some drawings, so those ones are pretty cool. But yeah, I mean that's it. You definitely stop by the site at happyhoardercollectibles.com. We will. I try to ship them the same exact day that you order them. I keep shipping affordable, so if that's something you're interested in, stop by. We don't have any more conventions lined up for this year, but we're gonna release a convention schedule for us probably in January of 2024.
And if you go to that site before the 31st of this month and you use the code Happy Holidays 23, you'll get 10% off your entire order. Is that correct, my friend?
That is correct. Use that code and you will get 10% off your order. Also, if you ever come see us in person, whether you're out, if you're out in Waco and we happen to be at an event or at the mall or something, and you check out our Instagram, I usually have like a cool quiz question that'll get you an extra 10% off. So, like we did the Comic Con, the Elite Comic Con, and the question was, who was the first Saiyan to go Super Saiyan in Dragon Ball Z? And if you answered that correctly, you got an additional 20% off.
Nice. So check it out today, happyhoardercollectibles.com. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the pop culture cosmos. No, Cobra, you should not. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great